Our Father who are in heaven. So we've created a visual tool by which we want to help you try imagine the different voices that are in heaven, that we find mostly in Hebrews 12, but then there's some other scriptures as well. You came near and stood at the foot of the mountain while it blazed with fire to the very heavens, with black clouds and deep darkness. Then the Lord spoke to you out of the fire. You saw no form of any kind when the Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the fire. Verse 24, for the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. So when we come to Hebrews 12, this comes as no surprise. Verse 18, you have not come to a mountain that can be touched and that is burning with fire, to darkness, gloom and storm, to a trumpet blast, or to such a voice speaking words that those who heard it begged that no further word be spoken to them, because they could not bear that the commandment was, even if an animal touches the mountain, it must be stoned. This sight was so terrifying that Moses said, I'm trembling with fear. Verse 22, but you have come to Mount Zion, to the heavenly Jerusalem, the city of the living God. You have come to thousands upon thousands of angels in joyful assembly, the church of the firstborn, whose names are written in heaven. You have come to God, the judge of all men, and to the spirits of righteous men made perfect, to Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant, and to the sprinkled blood that speaks a better word than the blood of Abel. And then it goes on to speak about the fact that God will shake the heavens and the earth, and that only the unshakable will remain. But it ends off this chapter with verse 28. Therefore, since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us be thankful and so worship God acceptably with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire. First of all, we have the throne of God. He is a consuming fire and He's the judge. And we read that before that throne there are 7 torches, the 7 spirits of God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 torches. Then we know that Jesus ever lives to make intercession for us, so He's before the throne of God. And we see that surrounding them are 4 living creatures. Then we read that there are 24 elders. Now, some people are of the opinion that the 24 elders are heavenly beings, part of a heavenly council, and others are of the opinion that these 24 could be the 12 tribal leaders and the 12 disciples, or that they are humans that walked in such a way with the Lord that they have been exalted to a place of honor in heaven. The book of Daniel tells us that there are 10,000s upon 10,000 that appear before His throne, that minister. And we just decided that the yellow shows all the myriads of angels that are in the presence of God. We read that there's a great cloud of witnesses. So these are people righteous people whose spirits have been made perfect, and who from the beginning of time, we read that Noah was righteous in the eyes of God. We read Abraham was justified by his faith. We read about all the biblical characters, Moses, Daniel, they're not in the right order, David. And then after Jesus, we have the disciples, Jesus' mother and father, Mary and Joseph, Paul. And then today we have our own loved ones that we know walked with the Lord, and they are also part of this great cloud of witnesses leaning over the balcony of heaven, as it were, and cheering us on while we're running our race. Then we read that the church of the firstborn, and we portrayed her as a bride because she is from every tribe and tongue and nation and people group. and she intercedes before Christ for others as well. And then there's another voice who is called the accuser of the brothers. And he continually accuses us to one another, or accuses us to ourselves, or even accuse God, that he is not kind, he is not just, he is not good. But to remove the enemy's accusation, there's a last voice, and that is the blood. The Bible says that the blood speaks a better word. So this may help you have an idea of how heaven looks and where you and I fit in our intercession amidst all the voices when we pray.